Marta, it's nice to see you. It's been, I guess, 7 years since we spoke, and since you were here in New York. Could you start by introducing yourself? Tell us how you got where you are, whether it was your family connection or your education, or what brought you to the position you have now.
Hello, I'm Marta Galli. I'm the third generation of the Ragose Winery. I'm 27 years old. We met, I think, yes, 7 years ago in New York City. I think it was the first time that I traveled for the winery, that I worked for the winery in New York. So it was a very special trip.
Awesome.
And very special occasion. And I've graduated at university. I've studied management. And at the moment, I work both for the winery, and I'm also taking a PhD in the management and innovation in the wine industry, so in the wine sector. And at the same time, I work for the winery, and I work in the sales, the commercial side of the winery, and in the marketing side of the winery. So I used to travel without the pandemic, without the global pandemic. I'm used to travel, and I'm the third generation actually. My grandfather Arnaldo Galli and my grandmother Marta Galli. I've the same name of the grandmother. Founded the winery in 1969. And the second generation are my father and my uncle. My father is the business, commercial, administrative side of the winery, as me. And my uncle is both the agronomist and the enologist. So the one that makes these beautiful wines. And I love this sector. I love selling wines. And I don't know if you want to know something more about the winery, about the family. I don't know what's next.
So I have one question that'll be about you in particular. A lot of times people are born into a wine family and they go off to, try business, banking, be a DJ. Did you ever do that, or did you know from the beginning that you wanted to stay in the family business?
Actually not. I both work in the winery and at the university, so I have two different. I mean, yes, in a part, yes, we can say yes. I've tried also something else, but always connected to the wine business.
Okay.
I was born in the winery. I was born and I was used to live in the winery. So, I mean, I grew up in the winery, seeing my father, my uncle working, producing wine. So I think that I think that I love this place since I was born. So it's something special for me, and I think that I want to work in this sector, and I've started 7 years ago, more or less, 8 years ago. I was very young, and I was 21 years old actually the first time that I started working for my dad, and I love it. So I was born in the winery, and I think that is. I love this job.
That's awesome. So a little bit of both. So I want to come back and ask the history of the winery and your family business, but can you first tell us about the region of Valpolicella?
Yes. The region of Valpolicella is a very famous wine producing region. Is in the north of Italy, in Veneto region. And Valpolicella is a huge area. The winery, Le Ragose, is located in the historical part of Valpolicella that is called Valipolicella Classica. Valipolicella Classica is the historical area of Valpolicella, and nowadays Valpolicella is very, very big. When my grandfather and my grandmother started the business, they were just 18 producers in the area. Nowadays we are more than 400. So a lot of winery in this area. So it's a very big area in Veneto region. We are in the northeast of Italy, so near the city of Verona, where there is Vinitaly in 1 month's time.
And yeah, it's happening. It's back on. That's good to hear. So my question about that is, the Amarone wine is made different than a lot of other wine, and generally there's a historic or a geographic reason for that. Can you explain a little bit about the winemaking? I know you make more than just Amarone, but I want to talk about, because that's the most famous one, why that's unique to Valpolicella, and then we'll talk about the other ones when we go through the winery stuff.
The fact that makes Amarone unique is that it's made with dry grapes.
Mm-hmm.
This method, the appassimento method, is called in Italian. So the drying of the grapes is a typical method here in Valpolicella for the production of Amarone. Amarone is our top product, is the most popular product in the world from Valpolicella, and one of the most popular Italian wine. Mm-hmm. And the Amarone, the process in making Amarone wine is very particular, and it makes the uniqueness of the wine. In the first part of the harvest, you have to select the best grapes for Amarone, and you put in a big warehouse for 3 months. This is called the method. In this way, the grapes lose the 30% of the water, so there you have more concentration, more power, and in this way you can have that kind of wine with this body, this structure. And after and later you age this wine in big barrel of Slavonian oak. And you can have a younger Amarone if you age the wine for 4 years, 5 years, and you can have a Riserva, an Amarone Riserva, an older Amarone, if you age the wine for 8, 9 years.
Okay. So one thing I learned that I hope I forgot it, that I didn't just learn it for the first time, but it's very obvious when you see it that Amarone means big bitter, to differentiate it from Recioto, which is more typically when you dry grapes, you make a sweet wine. And so I guess there was Recioto all along, and then somebody figured out if we ferment longer till it's dry, we're going to get Amarone. Is that correct?
But in the past, the wine of Valpolicella was Recioto, was not Amarone.
Right.
Amarone was born later. The first wine that Valpolicella Winery produced in the past was a Recioto. Recioto is a sweet wine. Mm-hmm. Amarone is the brother, we can call, but drier. Okay. So the Amarone, also the word, as you said, means that is not as sweet as the Recioto, Amaro.
Right. And
that's a Recioto. And Amarone was burned and should be very dry, very dry. Was when we started producing Amarone in the past, Amarones were very dry and wines for the gastronomy.
Right. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up for me. So let's go back to tell me the history of the winery, and then kind of wind up to current farming practices, things you're doing now, because I know there's always change and climate change and all that.
Yes. So the winery has been founded in 1969 by my grandfather, Arnaldo Galli, and my grandmother, Marta Galli. I have the same name of the grandmother, and today is a special day because it's Women's Day, International Women's Day, and I think that is important for women to work always more in the sector, because when my grandmother started the business, they were just few women in the sector, and she was the mother of 4 children, and she started to run a business, to run a winery, and start traveling, selling the wine. So it was really the beginning for women in the sector, and she was one of the founders of the Women in Wine. Mm-hmm. And years, she became a very important personality in the wine world at that time. So this is how Le Ragose started in 1969.
So I want to interrupt because I want to brag about your grandmother a little bit more than I think you're being very humble. She was referred to as La Signora del Vino.
Yes,
because she was really out there doing it.
Yes, she was elected wine producer of the world by La Morra, that is an organization in Piedmont, in 1990. So yes, she was quite an important personality, but the most important thing that she always she was herself. So she always smiled and very kind with people. And in the years, he built a lot of knowledge about wine, obviously, with the help of my grandfather, that he was an enologist. And so, yes, I hope to be good as the grandmother.
Big shoes to fill, we say.
and so in the 90s, my uncle started to work in the winery, and my father in the business side of the winery, and my uncle in the enologist and agronomist side of the winery. So they started in the 90s. Nowadays there are my father and my uncle and me, that I'm the third generation, and the one that used to travel all around the world. So and so this is this history of the winery. The winery is upon a hill in Valipolicella Classica, the historical area of Valpolicella, and it lies from 250 to 400 meters high, so high elevation winery. And this high elevation is very important for growing grapes, because in the past, people used to plant vineyards only upon the hills, because hills are vocated places for growing grapes, because there's a special climate, a perfect climate. Yeah. Here in Le Ragose, we have a great exposure, a great climate given by the elevation. So thanks to the hill position. And we are a very beautiful view above all the valley, all the Valpolicella Classica, all above the city of Verona. And when there is very good weather, we can see also Apennini. Apennini starts from Bologna, so very far from the winery.
Sometimes Lake Garda, right?
Yes, we can see the Lake Garda. I've posted a photo on Instagram of Lake Garda. And this is the view from Le Ragose. So yes, we can see the lake, we can see the mountains, we can see the Valpolicella Classica. We have a very beautiful view.
Yeah, I saw that.
The climate upon the hill is different than in the plain. Okay. Even if we have a totally different climate from the 80s, in the 80s, and now the climate has changed, but upon the hill the difference is smaller. Okay. Because you have always greater conditions in the hill than in the plain. So better condition, better climate, yes, humidity. We are, I love to say that we are above the winter fog, because in Pianura Padana, in Valpolicella, and in Veneto region in general, during the winter and during autumn, there is a lot of fog. It's a very foggy area. And I love to say that we are above the winter fog, because in the morning, you cannot see the valley. It's like a white carpet.
Wow.
Yeah, so and this is an important thing for the vineyards.
Yeah.
This is important for the vineyards because you have less humidities, less cold.
Oh, okay. And so are like in Burgundy and some other places, they're planting a little bit higher now with climate change. Are you able to do that like within the DOC, or even logistically, or are you already high enough?
When my grandfather and my grandmother started the business, we were the higher position in Valipolicella Classica. Nowadays, they plant also above, also in a higher position than us, but is not. They are not. We are Le Ragose are 18 hectares, more or less 30 acres in the same place up on the hill. It's very rare to file the whole winery, the whole firm in the same place.
Okay.
Maybe someone have some small vineyards very high, or maybe at the same altitude as Le Ragose, but it's very rare to find all the winery in the same place at this elevation, so up on a hill.
I want to ask you one other thing. Where did the name come from? Because often it's a family name as the winery. What does Le Ragose mean?
Le Ragose is the name of the place.
Oh.
Actually, it's really the name of the hill.
Okay.
Le Ragose is the name of the hill. So we love to think that in Greek, in ancient Greek, ragos, it means grape. So we love to think that Le Ragose, they named this place Le Ragose because it was very suitable for growing grapes. We have found documents that certified that in Le Ragose there are vineyards since 400 years ago. Oh, wow. So it's a very suitable phrase for growing grapes. There are also other meanings of the name Le Ragose that are linked to some old cultural, very difficult also to explain in English because are very local and typical of the place. But we love to think that the best translation of our name is grape.
Yeah, it reminds me of the word ragazzi, like friends. Because you struck me when we first met of being so friendly and so nice. So I remind me of a restaurant called Ragazzi a long time ago. Anyways, so can you tell me about all the different wines that you make?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Maybe after each wine, tell me something regional food that would go with it, or what you would serve with dinner.
So we could start with the Valipolicella Classico, that is this one with this red label. Yes. If you can see
it always does backwards on Zoom, I think. Oh no, it shows good. Okay.
It's a very iconic wine with this red label. Is very iconic here in the area, very recognizable because you can see this label in the shelf with 100 wines. You can see this red label. This is the Valpolicella Classico. The Valpolicella Classico is the fruity, fresh, basic wine that we produce in October, November. And this is made with fresh grapes, so no appassimento, no dry grapes, with fresh grapes, and only with stell and still. So we press the grapes, the fermentation is in stell and still, and later we release the vintage usually in April. So we are quite ready to release the 2021.
And what are the grapes?
What? Sorry?
What are the grapes you use?
The grapes are Corvina for the 50%, Corvinone, and Corvinone and Rondinella for the 20% each. That are the three main varieties of Valpolicella, so the historical main varieties of Valpolicella. And later we also have other ancient local varieties in a very small percentage inside all our wines. So,
and you're fairly unique for that, right? Having some old varieties.
We decided to keep these varieties maybe more for a biodiversity choice. Oh, okay. Because obviously when you put these varieties in this very small percentage, is very hard to find a huge difference.
Right.
But it's more because we want to stay close to our place, to our tradition. In Italy, we have 100 of different local varieties, and for us, it's important to keep them, not to lose them. So this is the main reason why we decided to keep it. And also because when in 1969 we founded built the winery, we bought the winery. My grandfather found in one of the vineyards of Le Ragose, found all these ancient local varieties. This is a very special vineyard that is called Le Sassine, that is the lowest part of the winery, and we found in that vineyard these old varieties. So this is the reason why we found them. So was we thought that was important to keep them. So instead we are a very traditional winery, and this is maybe this is more unique than of these varieties, because there are also other wineries that use these varieties, but we are, what makes us very unique and in Valpolicella is also the fact that we are very, very traditional.
Gotcha.
So very traditional in the making, using the traditional varieties, in the respecting the traditional method. We are one of, because we are not the only ones, but we are one of the most traditional winery probably. Since 1969, we have never changed our way of producing. We have never followed trends or different way of producing Amarone and the Ripasso. We always so traditional and so close to our place, our terroir.
Excellent. What's the next wine?
Can you see?
No, but I can hold mine up if you want.
I couldn't hear you.
I said I can hold the bottle if you want. What wine do you want to talk about next?
Ripasso.
Okay.
Okay. This one? Yes, exact. So this is a truly a traditional, elegant, and fine ripasso. The ripasso is made with the, and later I will also tell you the wine pairing, the food pairing for the first one and the second one.
Okay.
Ripasso is a this wine is a medium body wine, because how we make ripasso, we take the first one, so we take, and we make a second fermentation, so a re-fermentation only on the skins of Amarone.
Okay.
So there is the presence of Amarone in this wine, thanks to this second fermentation. In the skins of Amarone, you still have sugar, so the fermentation start again, and so you have a medium body wine. You have more color, you have more power, also because thanks to this second fermentation, you can age this wine in the oak.
Okay.
So this wine is aged in big barrels of Slavonian oak, so for 50 hectoliters, so very big. And thanks to this traditional and the traditional aging, you obtain a very elegant and fine wine that is perfect for everyday meal, that is perfect for starters, is perfect for first plate, so with the pasta with meat or with the risotto.
Mm-hmm.
And is perfect also with meat.
Okay.
Thanks to this medium body. The first one, the Valipolicella Classico, is a wine that Italian people love to drink during lunch, during dinner, because Italians love very simple wines, love very easy and drinkable and fresh wines. The important thing of this wine is that is very good also during the summer, because a lot of restaurants keep it a little bit colder.
Okay.
Colder, and in that way they serve this wine with fish.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You compare really with different kind of food. I was thinking about a really typical food from Veneto region, from Verona, is risotto with sausage.
Oh, okay.
A very typical risotto here, make risotto with sausage. And that kind of risotto is perfect.
Oh, with this, okay. Marta, before you go on, there was a little bit of a data lag when you said the skins are passed over. Can you repeat the winemaking process for this?
Yes. So in October, November, we started the first fermentation of this wine, so of the Valpolicella Classico. Later, we take the same wine that has already fermented, the Valpolicella Classico, and we make a second fermentation of this wine only on the skins of Amarone.
Okay.
So only on the skins, you make a second fermentation of the Valpolicella Classico. And this is, ripasso is a method. The ripasso means pass 2 times.
Right. Perfect.
So this is really the traditional method to produce a ripasso.
Yeah.
And this is actually a really classic traditional ripasso.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to this second fermentation, you have more body, more power, because in the skins of Amarone, you still have some pomace, so you still have sugar.
Right.
And so the fermentation starts again. But always remember that the grapes for Amarone are dry. Mm-hmm. So in skins, you have a lot of concentration, because they during the appassimento, they have lost the 30% of the water.
Right. Cool. Okay. What's next?
Next, do you have both Amarones?
I do.
Okay.
I have the 10 and 15.
Yeah, exactly. So
we opposite down.
Yeah.
It's so hard to, everything is opposite, and I have a hard time holding it right. Bear with me. There we go. It's this way. Okay.
Okay. First, the 2015.
Okay.
Okay. So the 2015, as I told you before, you can age the wine more years or less years. Mm-hmm. The 2015 is aged for 4 or 5 years in big barrel of Slavonian oak. First, as I said you before, we selected the best grapes. We dry grape. The fermentation stellene still, so almost 8-12 months in stellene still to ferment, and later we put the wine in big barrels of Slavonian oak. The same for the ripasso are for the Amarone, so big barrel for 50 hectoliters, very traditional way to produce Amarone. And for the Amarone 2015, we aged the wine for 4 years. Usually 4 years, because you have 1 year for the fermentation, 1 year, 4 years for the aging period, and after 1 year in bottle before selling. The only difference with the other Amarone is the years in the barrels. The years in the barrels, because for our Amarone 2010, the years are 8-9. In big barrels of Slavonian oak. Right. These two Amarone are very elegant. They are both very elegant and very dry and perfect for the gastronomy. The Amarone 2015 is very good by the glass. Okay. Because the lower, because it's not as older as the other one, as the 2010. And it's very good by the glass, has a great acidity, very dry, perfect for the gastronomy. They are both perfect for a meal. Okay. When I tell this thing for the 2015, people immediately understand, because it's younger, and in the mind you have, okay, it's not as old as the 2010, so okay, I understand that it's very good for a meal. But when I say this thing for 2010, people always look at me like that, because I say, okay, it's a 10-year wine. Yes, it's a 10, 11-year wine, but it's very dry, it's very elegant, and it's perfect with the gastronomy. In Ragose, we want to produce gastronomy wines. We don't want to produce wine only for meditation. If you want to meditate with our wines, it's not a problem for us. Right. But you could try this wine with the food. because thanks to this low residual sugar, our Amarone is between 1 and 2 grams per liter sugar, so absolutely dry. And in this way, they are perfect with food. So I was thinking about a very traditional plate from Veneto to pair with these wines is brasato with the Amarone. And I think the last time that I ate brasato was in New York, actually.
Oh. What is brasato? What is that?
It's like meat that is cooked with the wine.
Oh, like a braised meat. Okay.
You cook the meat with the wine. So you cook the meat, you can make with Barolo, you can make with the Amarone, you can make with different kind of wines. In Veneto, in Valpolicella, you find the brasato with the Amarone. So you cook the meat with wine.
Okay. Now, is there another one like a Reserva or something? Because I feel like I remember there being an Amarone in a bottle shaped like this. Is that correct?
No, that was, I remember that is also the wine that I have in the photos with you.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the Amarone Marta Galli.
Okay, because I feel it's been a while and I feel like I remember it being in that shaped bottle. Okay.
Yeah. It's the Amarone Marta Galli. That one is always made with the Corvinone Rondinella. The only difference is the oak, because that wine is made with French oak, but it's a very small selection. The main production are this one,
Gotcha.
the traditional one. The one that you remember is the Amarone Marta Galli, that is named after the grandmother Marta.
Right. Okay. And then can you talk about the Cabernet that you make? Because that was delicious.
Yes. Our Cabernet is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon grapes. We have started producing Cabernet Sauvignon in, I think in the 80s, more or less. My grandfather started producing Cabernet because nobody wanted Amarone, because Amarone was not popular, and everybody were used to drink international wines, and so we decided to blend Cabernet Sauvignon in Ragose. Nowadays, we still produce this wine because we think that it's very good. It's very interesting how Cabernet Sauvignon grew up here. Grew up with our terroir, with our exposure, with our climate and with our soil. And this is truly a French Cabernet Sauvignon in Veneto. So we follow the French tradition in producing Cabernet Sauvignon. We imported the Tonneau from France, and we use the 70% of old oak and 30% of new oak. And we use the 100%, it's not a blend, it's 100% Cabernet Sauvignon grapes. And the interesting thing is not only the price range comparing to the Napa ones, but it's also interesting to taste the Valpolicella in a Cabernet, to taste per place in a Cabernet. Yeah. So this is, I think, the most interesting thing about our Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah. And this is also a perfect wine for red meat, for pasta with meat. In our region, we eat a lot of pasta with meat. We call ragu. In we call ragu, and not only in Veneto, actually in Italy, and we eat a lot of that kind of pasta, and also with grilled meat or with barbecue. These wines are really, really, really good with barbecue.
I can imagine. Well, I have asked all the questions I have for you, so I will let you go. But before we go, I want to ask, when are you coming back? And if you know, and do you have any last words or something I missed or something you want to say that I didn't ask?
No, I think that you have asked everything. I hope to come back really, really soon. I can't wait. I mean, I'm used to travel 2 times a year to the States, and so I want to come back really soon. And as soon as I come back, I'll come to say you.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
To see you. So
and you'll see the wines on there very soon on my list.
I will text you.
Okay. It's so good to see you, Marta. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks to Odila and your distributors and everybody for making this happen. I really appreciate it.
I have to text Mark and Carolina to our distributors to come back soon to the States.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You take care. Have a good day. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.